All right, we're back. Back to you notice the testing of the signature scent in here.
I did notice. That's nice.
Can you smell it?
Which one is that?
This is black, amber, and lavender. I was looking for stuff that doesn't have like a cologne. We talked about this on the podcast not too long ago, but yeah. So I got the Reed Diffuser candle and room scent sprays from our friends at was it Midwest Fragrance from Ken and Doug, and so they sent me my first. They had to. They have all these scents, but some work for certain applications, and so. Like, for instance, the pine cone doesn't work as a regular, like, Reed Diffuser scent. And so they actually pulled something really awesome, which was to put leather and pine cone together, and we call it leather and pine. I think that's going to end up being the signature scent. I have that in the garage next door.
So they gave you the bigger bottles, the little diffuser things. Were there candles or no?
Yeah,
okay.
So each one has a candle. And then some of them will work as just a regular room spray. You just spritz it in the room if you wanted to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, that smells good. Black, amber, and lavender.
Yeah. So, I narrowed it down from 100 down to 50, or maybe it was 70 down to 35, and then from 35 kind of worked my way down to 5. So I have 5 scents. I'm putting one in the office here, one in the garage next door, one in my garage at my house, one in the house, and we'll kind of see which one I like the most. Those are the 4 areas that I spend the most time.
Oh, yeah, we had 11, and you and I narrowed it down to 5.
Yeah.
It was captivating for the audience to watch us sniff for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, we met some of these people on Wednesday, but we're back now on Friday, back to the normally scheduled podcast, Friday afternoon. I think we're going to be around for a little while here. Let's see, next week, yeah. Then the following week, 2 weeks from today, do you want to talk about that here at the beginning, for people who may have missed it, about the audio sale thingy? Not sale, I guess, promotion. Yeah,
so we're going to be doing 3 different events, 3 different live stream events. We're going to kind of test out some ideas and test out some timing of when we do these. But doing some, I recognize we have so much stuff now that, some stuff gets lost. On the site, and we don't. If I don't deal with it for a while, and regular vlogs and videos, it kind of gets stagnant. And so, one of my favorite things to do is to sell stuff, to teach people about stuff. And so, we're going to do on Friday. We'll be doing stereo audio systems and playing some different demos and kind of showing what how you would hook things up and be able to answer questions live. So we're doing that at 2 p.m. on Friday of
2 weeks from
now. Yeah. We're doing one at 8 p.m. and one at 5 p.m. Trying some different times, throughout the week. And then I'd like to do the same thing with like pressure washers and Milwaukee tools, and just have some banter with the people that are live, and then the people that want to go watch it later, listen later, they can. And hopefully, sell some stuff. We're also doing it in combination with we're revamping the warehouse. I was just talking with Kyle and Tommy about what our layout's going to look like, and then I've got a lot of inventory things that we have like 20 of that we should have 2 of, or things I have 100 of that I should have 20 of, and so we're gonna go and run some, on some things I just need to update people on. Some things we'll run some sort of promotion. But we're calling the audio a private sale. So in order to get the pricing, you have to go there and request it. Because I don't want to publish it on the site, and then when people add things to their cart, we'll kind of figure out how to make that work. But we'll have me live, and I'll have somebody running the live stream, and then we'll have guys answering emails and sending out the the inventory spreadsheet and stuff like that. And really, it's not going to be just what we have in inventory. People are going to be able to buy whatever they want, and then we'll order it and have it have in a week or 2 or a couple days or however long it takes to get stuff. So. I'm kind of excited to put that on and show people what we're going to do. And so we're going to take 2 weeks from now, we're going to do our normal live stream time and see how that works.
And we'll announce that as those times come up. So if you didn't write that info down, that's okay. We'll get it to you.
But like I envisioned doing one like custom install pressure washer where we're, I'm sitting there live talking about it, showing how it works, providing people with dimensions, and, and we probably sell 10 or 15 or 30, pressure washing systems. So I'm going to be doing, some of that stuff. Part of it is I believe that we're going to have to do these things in the future. I think we're headed for a nasty recession. And so I think that the easy days of me just kind of winging it, we're going to have to start working for it. We don't have to yet. Sales are still doing well, but I think one of my strong suits is to kind of think about different ideas and come up with ways to work a little harder. I talked about this at the beginning of COVID that now's not the time to quit. Take it easy. Now's the time to go hard. So anyway, we're going to do some of that stuff. I think it's going to be fun.
All right, back to your fragrances for just a second. Dylan wants to know, where's the GSF air freshener? He likes that scent. And then Brad said his garage already smells like that. Yeah, if you just use enough GSF, you'll be fine there. Ken Jeeper says, screw that. I want my garage to smell like sweaty socks and gear oil. I don't think they make that scent, Ken. Let's see. Love the Helen House series. This is from John in the chat. Top notch. I need advice for best lighting in kitchen ceiling and under cabinet lighting in both lumens and Kelvin. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to err on the side of go big from a lumen perspective. So you want let's say, for instance, the Cree CR6Ts, they have a 800, an 1100, and a 1600 lumen range. I think the thing to do is get a dimmer and choose the 1600 lumen, and then that way you have headroom. And if you set up a Pico dimmer, I'm going to teach everybody how to do that as well. We're doing that, and I actually got all the stuff for my house, teach people how to change out their switches and how to set that up on a real smart home, not this nonsense Amazon Alexa bull crap, where you want to have some intelligent lighting control where you can control the brightness of the lights. And so I tend to err on the side of, unless it's just a really low ceiling, go for 1600 and then just dim it down. And with the Lutron stuff, you can set your preferred setting, but then you have headroom that if you drop a contact or something, you can crank it up if you need to. So, I mean, I think that it depends on the style of your house. For example, the Helen house is very warm. There's lots of wood tones and even like cabinets and things like that, or either darker wood or a wood type finish. And the floors are wood, so we don't have any grays and whites and things like that. So in that environment, I want a warmer light to sort of match. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't equate, like some people are suggesting, well, if you have a cooler looking room, you should have a warmer light to offset that. And I would argue, no, it's not you want the light to be consistent with the room feel, if you will. At least I do. And so I'm going to pick a 3000K. So I actually ordered all 3500 for Helen. And then after spending time there, I'm like, no, this really needs to be 3000. I think 2700 is just too yellow looking for any circumstance. Just that $300 color or 300 Kelvin color temp bump, combined with bumping your quality of light. You can use CRI as your metric for that, but a higher color rendering index CRI, so in the CRI of 90 or 90 plus, you will improve the way the room feels and looks. So 3K, higher lumen output, and a dimmer is generally what I would do. Or if you have like the house here in Florida is all white and gray, so the 3000 was too yellow. So I went to 3500. When you get to 4K becomes, to me, uncomfortable. You lose the comfort of it. And so I think that you do 3500 in a modern feeling, with sort of brighter tones, and you go 3K in a warmer environment.
All right, while we're on the subject of lighting here, Anthony Lucci in the chat says, talk me into dropping the money for Cree LS lighting for my new 32 by 24 garage.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's the standard. You're going to spend, roughly 2 times more than you would if you just bought our regular light fixtures. I wouldn't say it's 2 times better, but it is, again, the quality of light. Like this light in here is garbage. It's just not high quality light.
I can't believe it's still in here, actually.
So when I'm looking at stuff, when I'm looking at this, this label, or I'm looking at my hand, it's just it's not as accurate as if you went outside in the sun and looked at something. And so when you have a high quality fixture like an LS fixture, one, it's probably going to last a lot longer. It's likely to be more efficient as well. And you're just going to have a better experience in the garage, especially if you're in there a lot like I am. It just feels so much better. It's hard to explain the difference between the light in the warehouse here that I've been using for years, which we have the OG fixtures, versus the light in the yarn building. It's just so much more accurate. It's just there's less fatigue when you're doing things like working on cars and things like that. And it's really not that much money. Yes, you need POW packs, and yes, you need Picos to control it, but it's not that much more for like best of the best over like okay lights.
All right, let's see here. Another lighting question for you real quick. From Rob in the chat, what are your thoughts on Control 4 or Savant? I noticed you pulled out this system in the Helen house.
Hate it. Everybody I know who has it hates it. It's a closed system that can only be serviced by the service provider. So then you're stuck with, one, the skill level of the service provider at his ability to program, and then secondly, you're stuck with his schedule. And so when stuff breaks all the time, I don't like systems that are interdependent, because then when one goes down, generally they all go down. So if one remote goes down, they all go down. This house in Helen had 12 Control 4 remotes for every single room. They did a Leaf, HDMI, video switching system, so they could do HDMI over Ethernet. And I understand the concept there is that back in the old days, you would have DirecTV, and every time you had another DirecTV box, it cost more money, and so you'd want to kind of distribute that out throughout the house. But I think it's just a much smarter thing to do is to go ahead and just keep it simple. Have isolated, independent systems. And then you can tie some of it together. That's why I like Blue OS so much. I don't need to program anything. I don't need to call anybody. I don't need to have some guy come and do it. It's not a closed system. So my Lutron system's my Lutron system, and my Blue OS system's my Blue OS system. And they're both simple. Keep it simple. Don't start doing all this nonsense of buttons and keypads and apps and all of that stuff. I want to eliminate as much of that as possible and just keep it simple. When you do Crestron and Control 4, when it's set up well, it can be magical. But when it's not, which is most of the time, and even if it is set up well, if you don't have on speed dial, you didn't spend if you weren't like the guy that's always constantly buying stuff from the integrator and keeping them employed, then you're going to have a tough time sometimes, and I just don't want to deal with that. And so I'm a much bigger proponent of, if I'm going to do audio, I'm going to do a Blue OS system, an NAD system, which is all self-contained. You don't have to program anything. You just turn it on, and you name everything, and you're done. It's so simple. Versus Elan, Control 4, Crestron, Savant, all this stuff. You've got to have access to the software and then know-how.
AFH wants to know, is there an ETA on the GT3 Touring?
Not yet, no.
All right, let's see. Joshua Kaywood in the chat says, now that you're semi-chasing vacuums, will you take a look at the Festool hose? I know the high-end woodshop guys run them.
Yeah, I mean, Festool's great, and I'd love to do Festool, but I can't. So, till they get their crap together, I can't do it. And so it's not even worth my frickin' time. And that's annoying as well, because even if forget me selling it, I can't even buy it. You can't get it. And so I'll head down that path some other day. But the big epiphany, I made a video this morning of the Flex vacuum that I've had for 2.5 years, because every time I go to order a Festool, I can't get one. Even just for me personally, it made me realize, well, shoot, this one's pretty freaking sweet. I was forced to use it, and now I realize how much I like it. So we've brought it into the store. I just made a video explaining what you would need, what accessories you'd want, and all that stuff. We tore it apart, and shoot, I've been using it for 2 years or so, and the HEPA filter doesn't have a lick of dust on it. The thing's pretty awesome. But we're also pursuing modern day, that Nick Jones introduced us to, the garage out, the Morton garage out in Colorado. So, Tommy brought in a couple several of these. I got one from Tommy and I found when we were at the International Builders Show, and they're just not good.
D-Chop says, hey, what's up, guys? David B. here. Will Matt sell the leather AMX Recaros if he ends up keeping the M Performance seats?
I'm selling the M Performance seats. So the AMXs are going in the car. So the M Performance seats, I'm going to list them for $10,000.
Let's see. Jason,
how much were duties on those? You know?
I could look that up here next time you...
Was it $1,000 or was it $100?
It's closer to 100, I think, than 1,000.
Okay,
but
so not too bad. So they were somewhere around $6,000 for the seat. I think they were $5,500, and then
I want to say the second, because it came in 2 packages,
right,
like weeks apart. The second was like $144.77, I think, or something like that for the taxes.
Yeah, so it's probably somewhere around $600 or $6,500 for those seats, and versus the M Performance, I paid, I think, $8,000 for the M Performance seats 4 years ago. And you can't, like, I was Google searching to see like what are these things worth. Like, nobody has like the authentic ones, just because of the leather in my car and and how dialed that car is. Having the perfect matching leather, I'm gonna choose that option.
Those are the ones you got from that guy in Vegas?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that has been a while. Let's see. Jason Summers says, hey, Chris, why didn't we see you in the Helen blog videos? I was not there, Jason. I was here at OGHQ the whole time. Let's see. Mark wants to know, how's the custom-built DI system coming along?
Oh man, we wait till you see the tank. And so I've actually we got really, Joe and I have some real solid direction on where we're headed with it, because the tank that we're going to be using, just the raw tank that we were going to put inside of a cabinet, we're still going to do that. Just alone is so much different than anything else that's out there, so much nicer. So and it has so much more capacity, and the ability to change the media is so much better than anything else, that we're gonna provide. So the first solutions are going to be tank only, which will be in the hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars. And then we'll create like I'm talking about, the end goal, like the one I want on my wall looks like a Sonic MSS Plus cabinet that has full functionality that I could bolt my pressure washer to, that has multiple cartridges or multiple tanks, and has flow meter, incoming and outgoing TDS meters on it. And so that one's probably going to be, I don't know, $3,000, something crazy. And so we want to have progressive steps so you can get the same performance without all the fluff. And then be able to teach people how to run these in series, so that all the pro detailers and stuff can have a good solid solution. We'll have our own DI media, which we're vetting and testing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to take us a little while, but the tanks we expect to have fall, and have our first iterations of either cart mounted or wall mounted or just stationary tanks without all the fluff available. We'll have a TDS meter on it. Probably won't have a flow meter on it. And then we'll have the appropriate. We've met like the industry savants of DI media, the actual resin, to help us get on the right path at testing and using the right amount of cation versus anion and mixed bed versus non-mixed and stuff like that. So we'll be testing all that stuff soon.
Kyle in the chat says, what's the consensus on the M2 with a new exhaust? Does Matt like how it sounds?
Well, I still have problems in that there's something wrong with the DME needs I think the car was tuned before, and so the exhaust valves just aren't functioning. So it's going to go down to PSI in the next week or two for them to fix that. But other than that, it sounds terrible right now. So until we get that fixed, the thing doesn't work.
Mason in the chat says he's wishing for the Delimit in the pad version. So they only make it like a mitt and not a pad? Is that the story?
Yeah, so pad is coming. We will launch it. So OG and Microfiber Madness and CarPro US, Sky's the Limit Car Care Corey, I just had a conversation with him the other day. We will have a pad that we will launch first. We're going to start a pre-order once I have an idea of when production will start. And so we'll start taking orders, and we'll probably sell thousands of them. So yeah, the pad will be the same size, a little different. It's a completely different construction, but the same exact size as the Incredi pad. So the deli pad will be coming out here. I would guess early fall. So just a few months out.
And this is basically just softer, super sensitive wash mat.
Yep. I like it. I'm going to be using it all the time. So it's really for those who have delicate paint and those who have cars that are clean all the time, like mine. You would still want the slightly more aggressive, the regular Incredipad or Incredimit for doing, when your car is really dirty. So it's a good combination to have the two of them, but it's really nice.
So this is in the store now, and the pad's coming in the fall, hopefully.
There aren't many of them. I mean, they're probably gone, aren't they? I mean, we only have like 50 of them or something like that. So you want to get one. If you want to even just to try the mitt out, I like the pad better, but yeah, if you want one, because CarPro has very few of them and I have very few of them, so they'll be trickling in.
Yeah, we have like 30-ish left of these right now.
Yeah, so if you want one, you better go get one now.
All right, super chat from Johnson EDC. $5 US. Which would you rather work on first? A 3-car attached garage or a 32 by 24 shop with 14-foot ceilings?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably do the attached first, but it just depends on what kind of work you're doing. If you're doing a ton of work, then you probably want to do the shop first. For me, I'm likely going to do the one next to the house first, especially if I don't have all the stuff. It also depends on what you got. Like if you got cabinets and tools, or you just got lots of money, do the shop first. But if you're kind of piecing it together and you don't have everything, I would probably want to do the one next to the house first, because I might spend a little bit more time in there to start.
All right, Gruda Jeffrey in the chat says, "Hey Matt, in one of your houses, you suggested a particular carpet that would not show footprints right after vacuuming. What carpet was that?"
So, Mohawk is kind of the standard in carpet from our, most companies sell the Mohawk stuff. I haven't done any real research and dug into like what is like Mohawk is like the brand everybody knows. I mean, what's the real good stuff? There's like Karsten and there's all these different brands, but what's the not local carpet place stuff that you would only order online or only designers know about or something? I'm not sure. But the Mohawk stuff that I was doing, you have to go look at the palettes. I don't know what it was called, but we had done the real plush stuff. And the problem with the real plush stuff is it always looks footprinty and always looks jacked up. It looks great right after you vacuum it, but it shows too much. And so we did the ones with the little squigglies in it and it's a lot shorter pile. It's kind of like microfiber towels. The real heavy, deep pile stuff looks pretty, and you think it's softer, but then it doesn't do anything. It just pushes stuff around. It's not as functional. Same thing with the carpeting. It's not as functional to have big, heavy, plush carpeting because it looks terrible.
Super chat here, $100 US.
Oh.
Wow. From Wags. He's palming us a hundo virtually here.
Nice.
Here you go, boys. Finally caught you guys live. Have some monies.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, sir. I need all the monies I can get these days.
Well, thanks, Wags.
Too many things I'm working on.
Let's see. Jeff Johnson, our buddy out in Oregon, says, "Been watching Matt long enough to tell his satisfaction in life based on his tone. Today is a good day for him. He's in a good place, but a rant could break out any time."
Yeah, I think he's right. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. I get a little wound up in that I want to get a bunch of projects done, and I'm struggling with bouncing around a little bit too much instead of just head down, get it done. But I'm also battling the I need a break feeling, and I don't want to take a break. I'm feeling super accomplished getting things done, but I want to get this place. I want my life here to feel like my life felt at the end of phase 1 of Helen. I realized how much I enjoy that feeling of just pure proactivity. And so I'm purposely not taking on. I find my mind wandering on, okay, I need to get this or get that, or chase this or chase that. But I have too much to do here as it is. I've got at least 30 major things to knock out before I head down the path of calling some vendor or setting up some new product or something like that. So, man, if I can get there, I'll be in a good place.
Super chat here from Spencer Wright, $5 US. "Hey, Matt, where did you get the SLG lights that you use for the kitchen at Destination OG?"
I mean, we bought them direct from our supplier. We're going to have them in the store. They're nice. They're not nearly as good as the Crees. So we'd only do those if you have to. Like, I have to do those in Helen because none of the other lights fit. You know, they have an adjustable bracket that allows you to fit them much easier. So the SLGs, they're decent. You know, they're not nearly as good as CR6s. But excuse me, we'll have them in the store here soon. They're pretty cheap too. Only like $15 or something like that. In comparison, they're not very expensive.
Another super chat, a different Spencer. This one, Spencer Mation, up in the Dakota, is $4.99 US. Hey, can we get Martin from Alligator Window Tint on the live stream soon? Also, love using drying aid as an intermediate protectant until I ceramic coat.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I threw drying aid on the M2 before I polished and coated. I'm like, oh shoot, or on the E36. I'm like, wow, this is great. It's actually better than I thought it would be standalone. It's not bad. It doesn't last forever, but you know it'll hold you over.
I also saw that Spencer, by the way, bought a bucket package from us today, so we'll consider that part of your super chat too. Spencer,
Nice,
thanks for that.
That's smart.
Here's a good question for you. I think you like this one from Jack Boudreau in the chat. Hey Matt, what is the most unexpected positive at the Helen House? House construction quality, dedicated theater plans, master wing of the house, something else?
The most unexpected and really confidence-inspiring thing was that the complication of the house, that other than the one, the plumbing in the basement, which hopefully the plumber fixes tomorrow, everything was super functioning super well. Like I'd assumed that we'd go there and we'd have to fix everything was going to be malfunctioning, like the air conditioning and the the steam shower wouldn't work, and the hot tub maybe was sort of leaky or something. So everything was very extremely functional. We don't have much to do. We didn't have much to do to get everything. I had to mainly spend the time to learn what to do, not fix and make things work. And so because of how well the house is built, because of, like, for example, the pressure pump that pressurizes all the water, I was worried about hot and cold zones from the air conditioning, and worried about having hot water take forever to get to master. It makes the house here in Florida feel like such crap. The other thing that was really cool was to get some of the things done that I didn't plan to get done in phase one. The basement is pretty well set up. The desk is set up upstairs. The home theater's painted, so all I have to do is take some products there, run some wires, and the home theater's up and running. So that was a real positive for me to have all that stuff lined up and get done.
Obsessed Mobile Detailing wants to know, do you have any experience yet with the new Rupes microfiber pads?
I have them. I don't. At first glance, I don't like them, but I haven't used them yet. They're in my cabinet, so I had them from prototype, or shortly after working prototype. Dylan sent me some of them. But my first thought is that the Meguiars are still better. But again, I haven't used them to see how well they do.
Chad Doss in the chat says, is there a date for the M2 giveaway?
Yeah, September 15th to October 31st, and I took the M2 out to whatever the Gross Earth Fair the other day, and in the parking lot, and it's the stock wheels are 100% the way to go with the spacers I have on them. There's no rubbing, there's no issues, there's no problems with the brakes. The carbon ceramics are amazing. The suspension is, I can't tell you how fantastic the suspension is. I just have to get the exhaust squared away and get the tune done, and then that car is beautiful. It's perfect.
Zach wants to know, hey Matt, where would you buy furniture that is more modern looking? Do you recommend Restoration Hardware?
I mean, I love Restoration. Arhaus, ARHAUS is another. Those are the two main companies I shop, and but yeah, Restoration's awesome. Their furniture's really good. I mean, you're paying a lot for it. You become a member, and it costs you 20 or 30% less. But yeah, Restoration is amazing. It's one of my favorite places.
Prian6 wants to know, what's the best exhaust setup that you had on your S2000? The Toda or something else?
I think the best I had was a Toda header with the Mugen exhaust. It was, it was the Toda I had on there was a little bit droney, but yeah, having I think it was a 4.2-to-1 header maybe it's 4-to-1 header. I think 4-to-1 header with a test pipe and like something subdued like Mugen. You just can't find that exhaust. It's hard to find.
CMAC wants to know, is there anything about the Helen Garage that you're not satisfied with? Anything you still want to add?
I want to do a vacuum cleaner. We want to add some fans. So I'd like to add the new Viper fans to the corners. Other than that, I want to do some tool grid, to there, and I'd get some more tools like channel locks and things like that in there. We need to get the rest of the Sonic tools in place. Because there's still, about 30% of the tool, foam inlays are inbound. But other than that, no, it's really good. I probably need another cabinet too, like another tall cabinet.
Stint Placer wants to know, is there an update on the fertilizer guy results?
It looks great. All that grass was flat as a board, so it's starting to get thicker and plusher. It's certainly greener. I need to put down another treatment or another, whatever you call it, fertilize once more. But we've had Heron come and start to kill some of the weeds. I know Michelle's pulled a bunch of them, but it's looking great.
Let's see. Ridiculous wants to know, hey, Matt, what's your opinion on the T-Max doors? I know you didn't get to install them at the last Normie house, but I was curious if the quality felt good.
So I did get to play with them at John's garage in Atlanta. He put them on his main house. He didn't know they're T-Maxes. Someone had bought them and recommended them from somewhere else. The only problem with them is they're really slow. Like you're sitting there waiting. They have a really slow motor, but the quality, they look really nice. But the actuation or the activation of the doors is slow. It takes forever for them to go up and down.
Adam wants to know, is there an ETA on SVS content?
Yep, I just shot the first video yesterday. Shooting the second video, or probably Monday. I was supposed to shoot it today, but I'm out of gas. I think we'll have it up either this weekend or early next week, and then so what I'm doing is shooting what would you want in the entry level? So 1,000 versus 2,000. I'm going to shoot a 2,000 versus 3,000. You would complement that with like a pair of Evokes or Emits from Dyne Audio or something like that. Then I'm going to do the big trash can look in the PC series, mainly because the PC stuff would be great to mount on ceilings in big garages that we don't have floor space to do it, or you didn't want to waste the floor space. So we'll be doing a video on those. I'll be doing a separate video on wireless, and then I'll do a video on the big boys, the 4,000 and the Ultra, which we probably won't carry. We'll only have those as special order, and talk about what I'm hearing. Actually, the first video, I'm gonna get in trouble probably, but I took the subwoofers out, like took them apart, took the woofers out of the box so I could see what the amplifier difference was, and I wanted to see what the difference in the subwoofer magnet and construction was, so I did that in the first video, and played some music and give you my thoughts on ported versus sealed and all of that stuff.
Our video guy Toda says the SVS subwoofer video will be up this weekend.
Perfect.
So, there you go. All right, this is from Liam in the chat. Is Matt still mountain biking? Are there good mountain biking trails near the Helen house?
I'm sure there are, but I haven't mountain biked in a while. But I would, we guess you call it trail riding here in Florida. I'd like to have a bike up there and go find out where to ride.
Where'd it go? There it is. Cars with JR. This is quite the topic of conversation, both here in the chat and in the comments. They wanted to know, is the toilet issue, what is the deal with the toilet issue? Has it been solved yet? You mentioned the plumber coming, the meats and cheeses.
Yeah, I did not plug that toilet. The toilet was not functioning when I got there. So I don't know what these guys are talking about. No resolution yet. Plumber's coming Monday at 11.
Okay. And then he also says, watching Mike touch the debris on the snake with his bare hands and then seeing him prepare food afterwards had him laughing. I'm sure he watched him, JR. I don't know, though. TJB says, why was the toilet clogged in the first place? What happened to the nutrition plan? Well, Matt claims it wasn't him. So.
I'm telling you. I'd own up to it. I'm telling you.
It's a point of pride there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so plumber on Monday. There we go. People want resolution to that. They want to know what the deal is. Oh, Super Chat. $50 this one.
Nice.
From Juan. That's two really big ones to say. Juan Musa. Thank you for helping me keep my GTI clean. Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're
Juan.
welcome. Yeah, thank you very much.
SVS Thunder. I need some in my life, says Brad. Is that what it's called? Thunder? Or that's the term for...
No. That's not the term. He's just making it up.
Okay.
Yeah, the SVS stuff is good. I mean, it's just good, clean base for reasonable prices. And I needed something to complement. I'm telling you, those PSB speakers are magical. The PSBs, the P5s, just fantastic. And to all of those who have bought those, I didn't like the PSB subwoofers. It would have been a lot easier, and I would have made a lot more money if I just did the PSB stuff. The margins are better and all that, but they just didn't like the subwoofers. These subwoofers they're amazing. They're so good for the $600 one is pretty awesome.
Johnny Walker in the chat says, you mentioned that the seller of the Helen House gave the opportunity to purchase the furniture for around $100K, I believe. Did you end up saving money by hiring an interior designer?
No, that was the Highlands house. Yeah, not the Helen House. The Helen House, I told them I didn't want anything because they had a bunch of cats, and I didn't want the furniture, so no. Yeah, I probably could have gotten the furniture in Helen for next to nothing, but or included as part of the deal, but I didn't want it.
DE10 says, thanks for skipping my question. I didn't want to answer it anyways. You're welcome, DE10. Appreciate that. Any negatives, this is from Nate in the chat, to using OG drying aid on matte vinyl stripes? Any other suggestions on how to care for them?
No, you would just coat those like normal and put the drying aid on it each time. There shouldn't be a problem.
Speaking of which, I have this in front of me because Mike T told me to let our Canadian friends know that they can now get this in Canada through Carzilla. So if you're Canadian and you've been struggling with prices and shipping and duties and taxes direct from OG, these two items are both now at Carzilla, along with a decon soap too, I believe.
Yeah.
So, question about this. Someone wanted to know, why did we choose CarPro Reset rather than go back to Adam's car shampoo?
I think Reset in the beginning, I didn't like Reset because it didn't foam for squat. The first few versions of Reset, did a good job cleaning, but they just didn't add a whole heck of a lot of lubrication. It didn't foam for squat. So the current version is much, much better. So I needed something or wanted something for coating specific, and I wanted something that we could kind of complement having GSF. I'm still going to use GSF 85%, 90% of the time. But yeah, another part of it's a good question because part of it is GSF at times is hard to get and really affects our ability to operate. So having a secondary option, I struggle with that, because I don't like second choices of anything. I don't do second choice. So I wanted something that is a good alternative, but has some virtues that are different. And so Adams and GSF are pretty much the same thing. So there's no virtue to that. So if I'm always going to choose GSF over Adams, that's why we made the transition. So I think Reset is a good complement.
C-Mac wants to know, Matt, if you're stuck on a desert island, do you choose zebra cakes or the Helen cinnamon rolls? Lots of talk about the Helen cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, I think I'd probably pick the cinnamon rolls. Yeah,
and they're only available one day a week. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, Tuesdays or something. I think you got to go there, and it's a bad day that Tuesdays there in the mountains. You go to Ingalls, get triple points, and
Tuesdays are big.
Get triple water gas, and it's a big deal there.
All right, a few people have asked about this. I haven't heard you mention this, so maybe they're just making this up. Matt, when it comes to a Raptor R, do you have any thoughts with it, and will you be getting one?
I think it's cool, but I'm not getting one. Yeah, it's $106,000 and plus I'm sure ADM, and I don't have plan. Maybe I'll get one at some point, but I'm not getting one now. It's not. I don't. I'm on no cars until I get my cars together, kind of thing. I want to be like sitting here bored. What am I going to do? What am I going to do today? I got nothing to do. I want to get to that point.
Dylan has a suggestion for you about GSF. If you run out, you can always borrow some gold class from Bryce. There you go. I bet there's plenty of that to go around. Let's see, Matt. This is from John in the chat. Are you still recommending the Panasonic bathroom fans, and are you planning putting them in the Helen and your new house?
So I probably put them in the Darlington house, but not in Helen. Helen has a Brown full, distribution, like a level above, where it has a single motor and then it feeds multiple rooms. And so, yeah, the Helen house I won't do it, but the here in Darlington I probably will.
This question is from Troy in the chat. Hey Matt and Chris, are you still using the i9 Mac Pro? If not, what's the new setup?
Yes. Yeah, so the Mac Pro is still what's running here. I'd love to get a studio at some point and swap it out, but for now this one still functioning pretty well. And then, I have the M1 Max, MacBook Pro, and then I still have the Intel MacBook Pro as well. So I usually use the Intel MacBook Pro here in the garage, and then I'll have the M1 Max for traveling and stuff like that. We used it to do all the videos up in Helen.
Which one is this one that I have?
That's an Intel.
Okay, MacBook Pro 2017. There you
Yeah.
go. John wants to know in the chat, is the Active 2.0 arriving soon?
I think they're doing a couple weeks, aren't they?
We were told mid-August, I think. There's a Reserve Your Spot video that just went out today with details. I haven't watched it yet. Super Chat, Cars with JR, $10 US. Mike was absolutely wonderful on his Wash and Talk. The Mike and Mike episodes are great.
Yeah, everybody likes them and together. It takes a lot of pressure off of me to have an extra resource to where I don't have to be in it. So we didn't have a choice. We had to divide and conquer to get that place. It's not like, I promise you, I was not, when Mike was working, I wasn't like with my feet up. I was doing something, and endless somethings. So, and that's part of the reason why we were able to complete it and have it feel so complete. Like, I vacuumed out the elevator shaft and the back of closets and cabinets, and just organizing drawers and moving stuff around and really having the time to go and get the place set up. A lot of it was figuring out, what do we need? What are we missing?
Let's see. RN Log on Instagram says, have you had any issues with the vacuum breaker on the prior hose bibs when connected to a Krenza 1322 with the stainless feed hose? When I release the gun, the vacuum breaker spits water for some reason.
Yeah, I always run mine hard plumbed, so I haven't had a lot of use of the prior with the pressure washer on. That's interesting.
Where is the Mike Wash and Talk video? That's an Inside the Hex video. I posted yesterday or the day before. It's an hour and 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, so go to obsessedgarage.com, go to membership, and become a member. And that's my way of enticing you to go and become a member. I wonder how many members we got from that. We should probably look at that since we announced, it's $60 for the year, or $8 a month or something like that. You could sign up for a month, watch the video, and cancel it if you wanted to.
Carrie wants to know, has your choice of bed sheets changed from Tempur-Pedic?
Yes, those Tempur-Pedics, they're the best at staying in place, but they don't last very long, and they're a lot of money. So, I actually really liked. At first, I didn't like them. The Brooklinens that I bought, they're Percal sheets. But I really liked when I came home and I went back like a normal, whatever we have, I think we probably have like a sort of flannel or something just terrible. And so the crispness of the Brooklinens at first, I'm like, this is no good. But now I'm gonna get them here for this house.
Peyton wants to know, which subwoofer would you recommend for a 20 by 20 garage to pair with some PSB AM5s?
Either, the first choice would be the PB1000. The second choice would be the SB, the sealed. So PB is the ported version. If you have the space, always do the ported. So the ported's $800. The sealed is $600. But the SB1000 is nice. Now, what you'll see in the video is that when you go to the 2000 series, you go from bolting on a subwoofer to integrating a subwoofer. The subwoofer just sounds much more accurate. It doesn't sound like I have a subwoofer and a pair of speakers. It sounds more like I have a system when you go to the 2000 series. And so I think I'd probably rather have a SB 2000, which is $100 more than a PB 1000. So any of the 2000s, and it comes down to size and money with SVS. If you have room, pick the bigger sub. If you have money, pick the more expensive sub. So if you're looking at the 1000, 2000, go figure. The most expensive, biggest one is the best one.
Sean L. in the chat says he's taking delivery of a 2023 GR86 in the coming weeks. Is a two-step correction with Jess Cart and perfect finish too aggressive to get it dialed in? I'll be topping with CSL XO V4.
No, I mean, you'll probably have to do 2 steps to get it right, because you'll probably have all kinds of marring, especially if they wash the thing. And the paint's probably going to be, nice and hard on that car. So, you'll probably need to do a minor, like Jescar correction compound, something, not a super aggressive polish, but a minor compound with a microfiber cutting pad. And then you really want to finish after that. So, yeah, I don't think so. Every new car I ever get is 2 steps.
Spencer wants to know, hey, Matt, on the talk of Apple products, what's something that you'd love to see on the next iPhone if you could contribute to the design?
I mean, obviously, we'd want to get rid of the notch. This little thingy up here, this notch thingy.
What is that for?
That's for the microphone and the camera. So I would want to have a contiguous screen and no notch.
Oh, look at
Yeah,
that.
no notch on your jank phone.
Google Pixel 6.
Yeah.
I've moved up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Carrie Stone says, what's the leadership structure at OG?
Well, I'm CEO, and then our leadership team comprises of department leaders. Chris is CFO, and then so it's lateral, and that I'm at the top, I guess you could say, and then all the leadership team. So Kyle's head of design, Wab is head of cinematography, Bryce is head of Bryce and and technology.
Bryce Things.
Yeah, Bryce Things does all the tech and everything for the website and stuff. Brad is head of the the web and info department that does the tech support, and as well as product website product, and then Tommy is head of product development. So some of them have a bunch of people under them, some of them don't have anybody under them, and then we meet once a month at a formal 2-hour get together with our coach and hash out issues and things like that. And then my mom's head of the warehouse and distribution. And then my dad heads up curated up that's technically siloed outside of Obsessed Garage, so that way eventually we can start wholesaling to other companies that way.
Let's see. Detailer, no, I am Daniel Max, says, I have a lot of bead makers stockpiled. Every now and then would have the dusting issue that people cried about. However, I discovered 1 to 2 caps of McKee's 37N 914 and a press-all with bead maker equals instant fix.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, reduce the surface tension maybe a little bit. That reduces the static somehow. That's an interesting
Thanks,
idea.
Daniel. I'll give that a shot. Ryan wants to know, or a suggestion, I should say, you should do a coming soon page on the website for products that you plan on having in the store in the future. Honor the source. That might be a good idea. Let's see. Oh, here's a good suggestion from HM TCS 14. It's only fitting that if Mike F made a wash and talk, we need the other Mike to have a wash and talk as well.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be down for that.
Who would hold the camera? We couldn't do that. Let's see. Brad wants to know, Brad Hone, how about a suggestion for an SVS sub for a desk/office with AM5s?
Yeah, so for the office, I think the 3000 micro is the way to go. It's dual 8-inch woofers. It's a tiny little box. It's actually pretty impressive. So I would do, again, I'd either do the SB 1000 or I would much prefer to have that 3000 micro as my desk setup. I might even ditch my sub 9S, the Dyne Audio, for that micro, for the for the office setup.
That is nice.
Yeah, it's $900, so it's it's not cheap, but it's pretty awesome. Even in some garages, you put the micro if you don't have a lot of room, like you've got a tight spot, it'll do a good job.
Mike in the chat, Mike Iwamuro, what did you choose for your audio interface for Destination OG? I've been really happy with my Motu M4.
It's the NAD C685 is the the DAC, and then that feeds via XLR, our subwoofer, and our left and right channels.
Let's see. Brad wants to know, is Chris a green bubble bandit? I guess that means an Android user. Yes, Brad, I am.
Ugh.
I never had an iPhone.
That's gross.
I've made it this far somehow.
That's dumb. Something wrong with you.
Andrew says, hey, Matt, I just got my 2022 Mustang Mach-1 in Eruption Green.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get ceramic and PPF done.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere local over your way I should check out? I'm in Tampa.
No, you should stay in Tampa and go to Billy and to Ryan Auto Paint Guard. I go to them in Tampa. So 100% go to Ryan Auto Paint Guard.
Let's see. Mike Bellows says, just purchased our first white car, an Alpine White X5 for the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Have only ever owned or detailed dark-colored cars before. Regarding polishing, is it the same approach doing white versus dark colors?
Yeah, it's just way more forgiving. You'll have some imperfections in there you probably won't see, so you don't have to micromanage it as much. And I think you'll enjoy having white. White pops when it's clean, but it doesn't look as dirty when it's dirty as the dark colors. And it's when you polish it up and get it dialed in, it looks I think it looks great. But you'll notice you don't have to fight as hard to get it to look good.
Tommy C wants to know, when it comes to the M2 giveaway, are there new products? Are there new packages? What does it look like for that?
Yeah, we'll have a bunch of things. A bunch of different tchotchkes. A bunch of branded stuff. Shirts, hats, skate decks. Stuff like that. Illustrations. We learned a lesson that the last giveaway we did for my M3, it cannibalized future sales, and so again, it doesn't do me any good to sell things that I was already selling and give away a $125,000 car. We've got to sell some things to that aren't that. But yeah, we'll have a bunch of stuff, that I think you might like.
Let's see. Any E36 updates from enthusiasts? I must say, besides the P cars, it's my favorite car on the channel.
The E3 guys are coming on Tuesday to put the seats in, calibrate the audio system, put the deck into the trunk liner in, and then I'm going to be doing the suspension, when in the next couple of weeks, and then that car will be road ready. I'm ready for that, and I need to polish the thing too. Let's
see. Oh, Lotus. What's the name of it? Starts with an E. They want to know if you still have that on reserve and if it's.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. The Evora, or Amira. Sorry.
Amira, yeah.
Evora's the current one. So yeah, the Amira is on order, but I'm like number 23 or something at the Jacksonville dealership. So who knows if I get one or not.
Mike actually mentioned that in his Wash and Talk because I think he also has one on reserve. Mike F. Tristan says, would you ever see the chase for the best of the best plateauing? Or are you just going to chase forever?
No, because I think what happens is I'm already starting to run up against this. I find what exists, and then I find that I tend to move faster than most manufacturers would, or have a better understanding of what I would want and what consumers would want. And so I think what will happen is we'll start to modify and make them our own. Either start manufacturing things or go to the manufacturers and have them tweak things. So I think this is an endless pursuit. That's part of the fun. And my goal is to stay in the journey and not think so much about the end. There is no end. The end is I'm dead. So I don't have a target to, let me sell the company or anything like that. I don't have that goal at all. My goal is to just keep doing this forever.
Ryan wants to know, is there an update on the Continental air hose? Is it coming soon?
I think we're still waiting on fittings, but yeah, it should be very soon.
Hey, did you put that in the Helen house?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's awesome.
Anthony Gherkin in the chat says, I just finished my first ever correction, polish, and coating. Thanks for all the knowledge. It was so much fun. Biggest lesson I learned is I need some Cree lights. One ceiling bulb ain't cutting.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, we talked about that earlier in this conversation.
All right, let's see. Home of the Obsessed. Which kitchen appliances would you pick if you were building a new house? Bosch, Miele, etc., etc. Wolf?
I think Bosch dishwasher. I'm still working on the fridge. I mean, I wish I could do a true refrigerator, but true is so much money. But True Refrigeration.
That's the name of the brand, True.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I'd probably stick with the Wolf range. I like those so much. But the one that intrigues me is the Folger Milano. Looks really cool. But I'd probably stick with a Wolf range. And then Scotsman Ice Maker, Zip Hydro Tap. So curate it, not just one thing. I think we're going to do an alfresco grill at the whatchamacallit at Helen, and then an Evo.
Let's see. Jeffrey in the chat says, "Does OG drying aid cure faster than bead maker?"
I don't. Yeah, I think so. Yes, but I don't know. I don't know how anyone would know. How you could tell.
Brad wants to know, when does the SVS stuff hit the website?
We're working on it. I would say mid-August. We'll have it up in a few weeks. And it's going to go up as individuals, and then once SVS is off the trail, then I'd like to put them in the packages. They requested that we only do packages with SVS full speakers, and I'd prefer to do it with the curated solutions. I mean, SVS makes the best sub, but I listen to the bookshelves for 30 seconds, and I don't like them.
Neil wants to know, how much weight did you gain in hell?
None. Yeah, I probably just transferred some muscle for some fat. There's the longest period of my life that I didn't work out.
So you didn't work out once while you're there, did you?
Mm-mm. I planned on it. Took my kettlebell, the wall ball, and it's just too much, man. It's too much movement. So I'm back in the gym. I was there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll try to get there today, and I might just go for a run today because I can barely lift my arms up.
Now, Ted and I were looking at the CrossFit affiliate map around Helen. There aren't too many that are close.
No.
All right, let's see. From Jack Toller. Hey, Matt. I know you're going to talk crap on this, but I have a Tesla Cybertruck on pre-order. Mm-hmm. It is made of stainless steel and has no paint.
Yeah.
How would you recommend caring for it, coatings, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there will probably be a whole line of products that come out just for that. I think the Cybertruck's cool. It takes some big balls to drive around in that thing, I think. But I think it's, if it does ever come out, I would think that, I'd be interested in getting a hold of one and see what to do with it. But, I don't know. I don't know. What would you put, like Dr. Beasley's metal coat over the whole thing or something? I'm not sure.
A surprisingly reasonable cost there.
Yeah.
Starts at $49.9. The top of the line, $69.9.
Yeah, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. This is from Walt. Any updates on closet organization from Adornis when it comes to the OG website?
Yeah, the website's going to be the really hard part to do. Like, how do we do that? How do we put it up there? We're still working on hashing that out, but it is available for the guys to design it. They'll take all the time you need to go through and render and get you pricing. We're very transparent on that. I'm basically just taking whatever Adornis charges me, which is wholesale pricing, and I think we're marketed with 35% or something like that. And getting rid of all the fluff, because you got to install it, or get somebody to install it. But I'm telling you, it's super simple, and you need like 4 tools to do it. And so our whole new color palette should be available shortly. All of my stuff was an inch. All the new stuff will be 1 1/8 and so there's a whole new color palette. There's also 3/4 inch versions going to be available for, I think a lot of you would probably do like 1 1/8 in your master and then do 3/4 in other clauses to keep the cost down. But I think we've sold 3 or 4 of them already. So.
Yep, we had 3 go through this week.
Yeah, so they're currently in production. It takes about 6 weeks for them to build it and to get it out, because they build to order, because it's a full custom. It's modular, but they custom make it, based on what you order, because they have the CNC machine that goes and drills the holes and prints the tags, and so they have software that generates all the stuff.
Yeah, so Walt, go to the garage design page on the website.
It's really awesome, though. I can't recommend it enough. And if I could turn it on right this second and have it on the site and have that, it's going to take us some time to figure out how to present that. we need a little bit more time of designing and working with people. So right now it's, you would work directly with someone. So you get, I think we'll have better service now than we will in the future when it's more automated. But you'd want to work with our guys and walk through it and get the pick finishes and have them do different color renders and stuff like that.
Shoe Moccasin in the chat says, what is Mike F's background? How did he get so handy? Contractor? And then, yes, he did discuss that, as Matt Duffy says, in his Wash and Talk video Inside the Hex.
Oh, okay. So, I won't tell you then. You got to go.
I learned a couple new things watching the video.
Pay the $8. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't been watching anything. I need to go check out some of my own stuff.
Super chat from Dale Byers, $10 US. This should be enough monies to get your first Crocs. There you go.
Yeah, I do have Crocs, but the flip flop thingies, not the
real Crocs.
Yeah, I can't pull that off.
Marissa, oh my goodness, we have a lady in the chat.
Holy cow!
Oh, thanks, Marissa. When will we get a video on the NatureCast cabinetry?
Ooh, it's so good, Marissa. Just wait. So I teased it a little bit inside the Hex. I vlogged the day and when I unboxed it. Mike's coming back next week. We'll probably start on it. I doubt we'll start on it next week. It'll probably be the following week. But it's the great part about it is it's super modular and going to be really easy to install. I think it's going to be easy enough for most people who, if you can use a table saw or a circular saw, you're going to be able to do it.
Obsessed Mobile Detailing wants to know, will you be giving the new Milwaukee corded wet dry vac a chance? The specs seem really good.
That's just another Nilfisk variant. So no, we'll be doing the Flex. The Flex, it's the same thing. The Flex has better accessories and has better margins for me. So it costs less for you and costs less for me, and the accessories are much, much better. So we actually wanted to go direct to Nilfisk, but the Nilfisk is like $300 more, probably because of how much business Flex does in the U.S. and Nilfisk doesn't do a lot. So we're doing the Flex version.
Patrick in the chat wants to know, do you have a drainage system in your garage to wash cars inside? I live in Chicago and can't wash outside during the winter. I'm thinking about installing a drain into the garage floor.
Well, in Helen, yes, but in Florida, no. And I am going to be washing in Florida in the garage, and we'll see how it goes. But if you're going to do a drain from scratch, if you're going to cut the floor, you'd want to do a slot drain. So go to slotdrain.com.
Spencer wants to know, hey Matt, I'm considering getting Vossen HF5 wheels for my M340i, but unsure about the offsets. Do I just have Vossen do it, or what would be the best way to find the perfect offsets?
Yeah, they're going to screw it up. So you want to, because they're going to err on the side of safe, because they don't want to take responsibility, and then the wheels are not flush, so you're going to end up running spacers. So you got to figure out, what offsets you want. You got to figure it out yourself by going to forums and stuff like that and just trying to figure it out. The other thing you could consider doing, call up the guys at Signature Wheel. If you find some Signature Wheels that you like, they will get the offsets dialed. Jimmy has those offsets legit.
You might be jealous of this one. This is from Scott Mitchell. He claims that he's camping with the twins who played Katie on Heartland this weekend. I'll tell him Florida's #1 fan says hi.
That's funny. So the original Katie, the baby Katie, must have been the one that was they just didn't have any personality. They had to get rid of her because she just stared at the camera. Yeah. That was the one casting in the show. They did a poor job of casting Tim's son. There's no way that kid came from Tim. And then they did a poor job of casting all of the Katies that were, Lou's daughter.
Jeff,
I'm almost done. I'm halfway through my 8th round of watching it.
Man, I still haven't watched a single episode.
I'm currently, season 4 of Virgin River came out. I like these Canadian girl shows. They're my favorite. I don't know why. It's good. Good stuff.
Have you watched Suits?
No.
You're familiar with Suits?
No.
We just started watching that. It's pretty good. It's an older show. Jeffrey Hutchin wants to know, have you considered an OG week with you and Mike? Basically include 3 other guys and make it like $3K per room. Then you can update Helen and give a great experience to others. Yeah,
I would definitely come up with some things like that. Once it settles out and everybody books, and if it gets a little stagnant, we'll do some promotional things like that, where, I could probably sell a week to have somebody come and help me build the NatureCast cabinets.
Make them come work.
Yeah, and have them pay for it. I think that could be really cool. So, because I think that a lot of people would want to do that, especially if you're considering doing an outdoor kitchen. If you're going to do a NatureCast outdoor kitchen for $50,000 and you paid $5,000 to come and stay and learn how to do it, absolutely, I would do that in a heartbeat. Like when I wanted to I called a bunch of detailers trying to convince them to let me pay them to come and work for them for free. So I guess that's an oxymoron. So pay them to work for them. Yeah. And just to be a sponge and just be a help.
Well, we've already got customer number 1 here. Brad says he'd do a work week with you and Mike. In fact, I'd prefer it that way. Huh?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. We'll do it. We'll do it. We're probably gonna go up in September or so. So I need to. I'm trying to not get ahead of myself. Let the week settle out. We're running out of time here. People want to go and book.
Oh, yeah, let's address that for a second. When's the deadline?
August 3rd is the deadline by midnight for Wednesday. The $5,000 deal. And if you go to destinationog.com, you can look at the calendar to see what's been blocked off and what might be available to you. So you'd have the 25th pick of weeks. But most of those 24 weeks should already be on that calendar.
So has everybody that you've talked to chosen or gotten close to choosing an actual weekend?
Yeah, almost everybody, yeah.
Gotcha.
And then think of it, even if you're getting to spend a week, I think it's been an average of like a half an hour with everybody. Just me and you hanging out on Zoom. It's fun.
Let's see. Any plans for more press-all labels? I'd love to have a pad cleaner label and one labeled water for wet sanding.
Yep.
Possibilities are endless there with that one.
Before we do any more, we want to get ones that work better. So we're working on that.
And Scott Mitchell is impressed with your knowledge here of Heartland. He said you nailed it. They were the babies.
Yes. Yeah. The baby, and then I think she stayed until they were probably like maybe two, and maybe 1.5, 2 in the show, and then they swapped it out for the other girl who was a little chubbier girl, and then now they're recently in season 14 they swapped her out for like a completely different human, who's looks the part now, looks like she would be their daughter.
Let's see. Jack Toller says he's in for a work week. Brad is in. Jeffrey Hutchison said, I would love it too. Or Jeffrey Hutchins, excuse me.
Well, would they love it paying for it? Or would they love it for free? That's the question.
We'll find out. Henry Collins says, Suits is incredible. Oh, thanks. That's good news, Henry, because I'm only on episode like 3 or 4. I'm liking it so far.
Maybe I'll watch it. That's a USA show.
Javier Guzman says, what are your thoughts? Have you seen the new Civic Type R?
I haven't, no. I'm kind of beyond. I hope to stay beyond those cars. If I keep doing Helen houses, I might be driving a Civic again. But I don't know. I can't keep up with these.
Jeff wanted to know if you have watched the OG. What's it called? What do we call it? Car show video. Excuse me. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't watched anything. God dang it.
Now Jeff C says I'd love it for a discounted price.
That's what I thought.
Brad says he'd pay. Sign him up. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe you could get like 3 or 4 guys.
I would think it should be at a premium price.
You pay more.
Yeah. By the way, Phil, who won, chose to not have me go, which I like.
Probably a good choice, Phil.
Yeah. He's like, it'll be awkward, so no thanks. You're not going to hurt my feelings, bro. I got too much to do. Yeah, he's bringing some people who aren't OG people, and he'd be like that. I'd be cool with it, but the people I'm bringing, like, they'd think it'd be weird. I said, yeah, that's true.
So he's the winner. He lives in North Carolina. Did he choose his week yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going in December.
All right, AJP says, just got my OG drying aid in Canada. Super pumped that I found Carzilla carrying it. Oh, thanks, AJP. We talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Nice.
So it is available there. These two and Decon, so that's awesome. Let's see. Oh, that's all we got in the chat for now. It's good.
So I have a question for the people. I've been thinking about some ideas of, basically what I'm doing with the Helen House is I'm sharing or including the house. I'm including people in this experience, right? So I'm sharing it with people at a price. I don't think there's any question there's an equal exchange here, right? It's a reasonable price for a really well done house that is very unique in that. One of the guys I was talking to earlier today said, one of the things that that's of real value to me is that unlike when I go on vacation, you see the brochure or you find the pictures online, but it very rarely is, it's just they're just not well documented, and you go and half the time you get something you weren't expecting. And he said, so one of the real positives is that I know exactly what I'm getting. And I really enjoy that, and so I've been thinking about other ways to one, maybe speed up the lessons I'm learning here with Obsessed Garage is a 20-ish $1 million revenued business that we grew from nothing. And so that path from 20 or 25 million to 200 million, I don't think I can get there on my own. Like, I don't think I can get there without capital. I just don't think it's possible. Maybe it is, but maybe that takes 20 years. And so I've been thinking about ways to have equal exchange in value where I could generate. One thing I'm certain of, I would rather it take me forever and I never grow at all and do it without dilution of ownership, and without dilution with a partnership and board members and. I'm so eccentric that, I can get squeezed out of my own company someday, and so I want to avoid that. But I also need access to capital at times. And so rather than doing the traditional thing, see, the problem is most companies don't understand it. The people who understand it the best are the people who are following. And so what if I could create, let's say, for example, I was thinking of this a lot about this with Canada. The thing that's holding me up on Canada now is I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the capital to do it. I need to buy probably $500,000 worth of inventory, $500,000 worth of inventory plus payroll, and so I need a $500,000 investment. And you go to a bank, and the banks will promise you the world, and then you get to the end of it, and they give you a $150,000 line of credit. It's useless, pointless. And so I've been thinking about ways to, I can create, like I've been learning about, there's some companies that have done this where they create shares, non-voting shares, and they'll have a special private placement allotment of shares of the company, and then they'll have an annual meeting, and that annual meeting they will allow people to buy and sell shares. So because there's generally more demand than there is supply of the shares, that the shares will have appreciative value. So it's essentially a share. It's a tranche of the company that's owned. It's backed by the good faith of Obsessed Garage, but they're non-voting shares. And with those shares come certain perks, certain benefits, depending on how many shares you own. And then with the added benefit that if we created a marketplace for those shares, that the shares might have appreciative value. And then people get to have an ownership stake. But a much simpler thing to do is let's say that I had a privately funded structure of, let's say that I create a note. So there's a note for Canada, and it's backed by the inventory assets of Canada, right? And so we mark to market the value of that inventory. We publish that inventory out via prospectus to the asset-backed investors. And so I leverage the audience's need for places to find place to put cash. I leverage their belief in me and what it is we do as a business. And we provide a generous return, so we have a return that might be a better return than what you could, it would be a return. I'd have to pay a higher return than a bank. And then we would have a filing. You would have a UUC lien. We'd have a UUC filing against that asset. So, for example, if we were going to develop the DI&I solution, I could have investors come in, create a private asset-backed line that's backed by the deionization assets, not backed by the Obsessed Garage assets. So I'm not diluting or I'm not putting at risk the greater corporation. So it's a risk. There's a risk in the investment by the investors. and we set up a pool of a certain amount of people that can generate a return, and we can do this on our own without using some other platform, and provide an investment vehicle for our people to share in the upside of Obsessed Garage, via whether it's an asset-backed line or through shareholder ownership. And the key is, I think that most intelligent investors would not want me being diluted in decision making. Forgive the arrogance here, I'm the secret sauce. The culmination of the idiosyncrasies of my existence are what makes Obsessed Garage tick. And so to dilute that decision making I think would be a mistake. And so I've been considering non-traditional ways to speed this thing up. Like, for example, how much benefit would we have from bringing in some sort of warehousing expert, or how much benefit would we have in having a bigger facility that, if I had, rather than going to a bank and getting a mortgage, put together a pool of Obsessed Garage investors that can share in the upside by providing the capital in order to finance this. And legally speaking, I don't think it's too difficult to set up, make sure you're not creating a Ponzi scheme here, but you set up write a prospectus, provide sort of a quarterly report of the assets that are backing, that the investors would have as as collateral to come and take if it didn't work out. But of course, the risk is that we do this Canadian venture, and now there's no inventory, and and there's still the lien against it. But the investors, let's say you're banking on the Matt Mormon and the Obsessed Garage to make good on the 7% interest and paying back the principal in an amortized fashion, something like that. And then it's a way for people to participate while having an equal exchange in value. So I've been tossing around these ideas of doing non-traditional financing, like for example, the Green Bay Packers have non-voting shares of Green Bay that people own, that they can transfer ownership to the next generation. Or I don't know how they do their offerings for allowing people to sell their shares, but the Green Bay Packers have more people that would want to own a share than there are shares. And so you would do that. Of course, we could do it in a modern fashion using NFTs and using the blockchain to protect the counterfeit or protect the authenticity of shares. And the advantage of doing it in a modern sense through blockchain is you wouldn't have a regulatory authority to answer to. But would there be benefit to having a regulatory and having traditional legal structures in place to an investment? And am I crazy in even thinking of including people in this? Because if anybody knows anything about corporations and building business, to do hundreds of millions of dollars and develop products and things like that requires capital. Not wasted capital, but invested capital that generates a return for both the organization and the investors. And one simple way that most companies do it is they bring on a partner, or they bring on private equity, or they dilute ownership. Like, for example, if Facebook brings in and dilutes ownership, 30% of $200 billion is much more than 100% of a $10 million company. I don't think we're that kind of a company. I think we're a $250 million opportunity. And so if I can include some people and have an equal exchange, generating them a return on the capital that they have, and if I can pool investors, a lot of times it doesn't require people to put up a lot of money. Maybe somebody has $100,000 sitting there that they're earning nothing on, that they could bet on me, bet on the organization. And then I would use that capital to go and turn inventory. So I'd generate returns of 7, 8, 9, 10 times what I'm borrowing at, right? So if I'm borrowing at 7 or 6 or 9, and I'm turning something that has a 40% margin 4 times in a year, it cost me 7% or so for that capital. Maybe that clearly would be a benefit if it's something I was confident I could do. Like Canada, as soon as we go to Canada, it's instant revenue, like right now, like this second. I would probably do $4 or $5 million in revenue off of a $500,000 investment. But the thing that I can't do is, again, if I brought on an equity partner in Canada and I gave away, 50% or 30% of the profitability of it, it wouldn't work. There's not enough profit in there to be able to reinvest back in. So that's where it's doing something that's backed by assets with a determined rate of interest. That was better, certainly better than the because of the risk associated with it, would be certainly better than the bank rate, but would be equity-like returns for the investor that I'd be willing to pay because of the confidence I have in being able to acquire the inventory, market the product, and then reach the customer base that I already have built in. And so I would think there'd be lots of people that'd be willing to take that gamble with me by providing. Even if it was, if you had 1,000 people putting up, $500, to then have some, and their $500 is generating a 9% average annual return, something like that. And it's even a way for me to teach young investors how to do this kind of thing by creating a pool of assets. And then having people have like an annual meeting or a semi-annual meeting with everybody, and just way to kind of engage and include the audience in opportunity that helps me and helps them. Is this a crazy idea? What are people saying? Am I nuts?
Here's some feedback for you. From Adam, I'm in. Take my money. From Tanner, our Canadian friend, I'd be interested in hearing more about this. I am 1.5 hours east of Toronto and can likely do 400K. There you go. You already got 400K. Enthusiast 2024. I wish I had valuable input with this topic. I'm just a lowly engineer, not a business guy. Private investment notes seem awesome and something I'd be interested in personally. Jeffrey says you'd want accredited investors. People without much money will have too much stress / worry and be annoying. You need hands-off capital.
I agree to some extent, or we could limit. If we were going to do a pool, the non-accredited investor pool, you would limit investment. You'd only be allowed to invest something like $1,000 or something like that. I can make up the rules however I want. That's the point of doing private investments like this. But I'm struggling with dealing with banks and dealing with American Express and dealing with Chase, and you provide all these statements and then they give you like $20,000 extra line of credit. It's like what? And we don't have debt. We haven't run up a bunch of debt. So we have a good, clean business, but you can only bootstrap so much. And that's the lesson we're learning. And doing too many things at once, all opportunistic. So all things that I'm doing are profitable entities. I don't think I've done a single thing. I haven't hired a single person. I haven't invested in a single product that hasn't generated a substantial positive return. But you can only do so many, especially when you have payroll and you have inventory. And oftentimes I have to invest in payroll way ahead of the return. We haven't generated the return that I think we're going to get from the acquisition of human talent over the last year. And so at times I may need capital in order to invest in, like, for example, Canada, to get to Canada and be able to then provide the world with a value subset or a solution.
This is from Scott, the Canadian Heartland camping guy. Western Canadian here. I'm in. I'll bring the Heartland to people. But the sauce is, as you said, Matt is the guy at the end of the puppet strings. Absolutely no dilution. Neil White says, I'm a shareholder of the Packers. The paper stock is a wall decoration. Breck Harris also says, Packer shares cannot be sold or traded. Don't receive any special benefits besides saying you're a stockholder.
Interesting. So that's how they get around and do it. There was learning about this company in the UK. Now they have different rules than we have here, but the UK, I forget what it was called. It's called Equity for Punks. And so they'll do an offering, and it's a private offering of shares, and the strike price is like $80 or something like that. And then they have Brewdog is the company, and so you can see that thing right there. So Equity for Punks, they had 72,000 investors, so an average of $400 and $400 investment. They raised 30.2 million pounds. Now they raised that money. They've done 4 or 5 of these offerings, and then that Equity for Punks, what do they call it? The Tomorrow Fund. So they're basically creating a fund. Now, they have significant legal expenses in order to do this on the up and up. The other companies I think of like Publix. Publix is employee owned, where those shares are employee owned. They have a private marketplace. You can only sell it to family and employees. But they'll have, they have a certain amount of shares outstanding that trade hands. And if it trades hands, if more people want to buy it than sell it, then that has a higher value. But you can see how they do it. You get specific tiered benefits depending on your level of investment from a store perspective. But then you also get, I would envision the stock paying a dividend, and I would envision creating a marketplace so that you could change hands. So it wasn't like the Packers where it's just a decoration on the wall, where it's an actual, asset that you have that you can transfer, trade, sell, keep, do whatever. And then again, it would be magical if it had a dividend payment, and I could envision doing that to build the compound that I've been talking about all these years, and you could do that. You could raise capital that way because that money doesn't have to be paid back. It's so it's privately held. So it would be, and then again, could you do that non-voting, or would you have to have voting shares? Like, I don't think Equity for Punks is a voting share. How can you do that? And maybe that's a UK specific thing that, PLC, they call it, private liability corporation investors. So I'd have to do some more digging, but I've been really toying with this idea of, I can just see the writing on the wall. How do I go from 20 million to 200? And it's there. It's available. I've also thought a lot about the idea of taking on asset-based investment for the next property, rather than borrowing from a bank to get a mortgage. I essentially create a mortgage that's backed by the property. So if I default, let's say there's 12 investors, they can come and take the property, and take the property and sell it, and because there's a lien against that. So the investor pool has a lien against the property for a certain period of years, and the property pays a return, a dividend. So it's just kind of like I'm paying the privately held mortgage, I'm paying a rate of interest that's tied to prime rate or tied to LIBOR or something like that. So people generate a rate of return that is probably significantly less risk than buying, say, Tesla stock, if they believed in what we were doing. Anyway.
So, a little more feedback here. Neil White, Breck Harris, those are the two Packers guys. Though it is fun to say, hey guys, I'm co-owner of the Packers. I get a few blank stares from people. Blah, blah, blah. Investment ahead of revenue will be expected. You just need the right investors. Your audience likely includes more than enough people to make this work.
Right.
Dustin, super chat here, $20 off subject. I reached out probably a year ago about Crease Stylus for a new office.
Yeah.
Not a ton of real world experience with them online.
Right.
We ended up going with them, and I can't believe how nice they are. So much light and so clean.
Yeah, man. I would like to put those stylists just so we can get some more real hands on with in the home theater in Helen. But yeah, those stylus linear fixtures look really awesome. You can make rectangles and things like that. Can't make goofy hexes, but you wouldn't want to do that anyway.
So thanks, Dustin. He also chimes in, wonder if you could tie this into Hex Plus somehow. A couple of breweries here in Houston have done similar funding things for facilities. $500 investment gets you a mug that gets cheap fills every visit and some other sort of benefits for life.
Yeah, that kind of creative, modern creative, odd financing ways to finance, and not to leverage. This is the risk: is that the perception of leveraging the audience, leveraging the people that are interested, and that can be misconstrued. And that's why I think, I'm very adamant about like what we do here. I'm providing an equal exchange for sure. There's no question that when I'm talking about P21S polishing soap, you buying it from me, there's a value prop there. Of videos and support and how we ship it and how we pack it. There's a value prop that people have been voting with their wallet and rebuying and repurchasing. The lion's share of our purchases are repeat purchasers. So people continue to vote with their wallet. And so same thing with any sort of investment. No one's going to invest in it if there's not a value prop to it. And so it could escalate and increase the speed at which I can provide value to the world by, like someone said, investment over, prior to revenue.
All right, one last thing here. We're about that time. Andrew Davidson, did we already explain the products on the table? Yes, most of them, Andrew. The one we didn't address is this. Where'd that thing go?
No.
So what is that?
With it. It's just a little hand air chuck.
Also, rather than a gun,
yeah,
blowgun.
It's a little Prevost. It's kind of neat. Little anodized aluminum, little air gun. And it's OSHA approved because it has vents out the side. If you wouldn't, blow your finger off with it. But nifty little hand thingy.
Yeah, we did discuss the other stuff a little earlier, Andrew. This is Carzilla stuff that's in the store now. Deli Mitt with the deli pad coming soon. Dustin, our buddy with the Cree Stylist, whenever we get our office lobby dialed in, I'll make sure to shoot some photos over.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be good. Gruda Jeffrey says, sounds like Series A and Series B funding. Is that what you were talking about?
I believe so, yes. And I don't have a lot of experience. And I have a lot of experience in personal finance, but not corporate finance. So I need to start doing some reading and start doing some learning. But yeah, actually, if you go to the BrewDog, I think that's what they're talking about. It says there's a Series A level and a Series B and a Series I level. Maybe the Series I is for accredited only or something like that. And the other question that I haven't even considered digging, what is that legally? What does that cost? I'm sure there's significant legal expense to build a Series A asset pool. And how do you do that where you're filing and not, because I think there's a lot of concern of Ponzi scheming, if you will. But doing the key here is figuring out how to provide enough value without having to dilute. Without having to dilute ownership. I could raise all kinds of money if I gave people ownership, and diluted myself down to nothing. I guarantee it. I'd have a zillion people lining up out the door. But is there still value in voting with investment in a company that's new and unproven based on what? And I don't think there's any better way to raise capital than people that really understand your business. And the people that understand the business better than anybody are the people that have been following along since the beginning. That's what you're seeing with that, like BrewDog. I guarantee you, those are people that are bought into what they do. They're frequent subscribers of the products that they're providing to the world. So this is what I've been thinking about, and I figure I'll start talking about it, and I'll have all kinds of really intelligent people chime in and reach out and educate me on how this kind of stuff, whether they've done it in the past themselves or whether they've invested or they've done it with their own company. And so I think in the future it could be a combination of Series A funding or creating equity, non-voting equity, and it could be a combination also of specific deals where it's asset-backed loans that have generate some sort of return. And then again, let's say we find this amazing property in Jackson Hole, and I put together the pool of people that's backed by so a bank isn't going to lend on building the garage and putting HCAS cabinets in. They're not going to lend on what I just did in Helen, and I would do another house in 6 months if I didn't have to have the capital to put the money down for and buy all the product, that if that was financed by the asset-backed pool, and I could generate a return because we know we have the audience that would borrow the home at a reasonable rate. The benefit to me doing the work is the content and the product sales. The benefit to the investment pool is they're getting they're basically privately holding the mortgage on a proven commodity, if you will. That's something that I've been considering, something interesting. Rick told me never talk about this with anybody, and so I'm putting it out into the world instead. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
All right, so thank you all for your input. And one last question here, speaking of the house. Someone asked earlier what do you know yet what the rate will be after this $5,000?
Yeah, it's going to be $5,500 off peak and $6,500 on peak. So say from like March 15th to October 15th will be on peak, and then the other times will be off. But it seems pretty clear. A lot of people want Christmas and Thanksgiving, so those are all those weeks around those are booked. A lot of people want 4th of July, so all around 4th of July is booked, and so those weeks will be the most preferential. And because I will tell you this, those of you who are considering it and you don't know when you're going to go yet, most of the people who put up the $5,000, they don't even know when they're going. They're kind of tentatively putting a week in, just so they have something locked down where they can't, and it's just so they don't get locked out. But I'm going to take care of these people. Any other property that comes out, all of these people that are putting up the money to help me hedge this risk. I'm always going to give them preferential treatment in the future. And so you will be sort of locking in a relationship. And all these people are getting me. We're chatting about life and business, and actually some of these ideas of raising capital came from me talking to some of these brilliant people that are all booking weeks on the house. So anyway,
all right. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday, 2 p.m. again.
Yeah. See you then.